Alrighty, good evening, everybody. Today, I'll be playing a highly experimental list I've thrown together called Irencrag Belcher. Now, this is a very unique list. As I'm sure you'll see, the readout is 60 spells and 0 lands, so let's get down to it. First off, we have the flip lands on the backs of Spikefield, Hazard, Kazul's Fury, Valakut Awakening, and of course Shatterskull Smashing, and Akum Warrior. Now this isn't optimal because I only have one Shatterskull Smashing. I would definitely run 4 if I had them, and I would just I would probably replace the Kazul's Fury. Oh, there's one I'm forgetting, isn't there? No, it's in here. Never mind. Okay. I also would probably run 4 Blood Moon, but I only have 2. And I just don't have the money to get them. Now, what does this deck do? This deck uses the tap lands, as well as Simian Spirit Guide, a crapload of rituals, Metamorphose as a cantrip, and just for consistency, and it tries to cast like a Blood Moon on turn 1, or it casts a Madcap Experiment, hitting either Charbelcher or Platinum Empyrean. So the ideal scenario is, like, turn 1, we play like Shatterskull Smashing, Exile Spirit Guide, Ritual, Irencrag, Madcap, Belcher our opponent to death. That's like the ideal magical Christmas land scenario. The second scenario is like we play a couple of lands, we ritual up to an Irencrag feat, we play a Karn Liberated, we play Karn Great Creator, we play a Charbelcher, activate it and kill our opponent. Charbelcher says 7 mana, your opponent takes however many damage is left, how many cards are left in your library in damage. So, sideboard, we have some Ley Lines, we have a Karn Wishboard, and we have some Chandra's Torch of Defiance. Honestly, just because I didn't know what else to put there. So, without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and take this into a constructed league, and we are here to learn. If we win, that's fantastic. But we're going to see how mad we can get on this mad meta magic, or how mad we can make the magic meta. Alright, round 1, our opponent has been found. I would love to play first. I think that's actually quite the big deal. This is a turn 1 Blood Moon. So against the right deck, I think this is quite good. We'll try keeping. We'll see what happens. My luck is it'll be a red deck or an opponent that plays a lot of basics. I mean, this would be a turn 1 Blood Moon if we had Shatterskull Smashing. This is a turn 2 Blood Moon. But we don't have to use our Simian Spirit Guide at the very least. We are holding 1 Platinum Empyrean, which we do need to be aware of. If we Madcap Experiment, we need to do the math for the average amount of cards we'll flip over. Okay, opponent fetches a Polluted Delta, shocks a Watery Grave, and Thoughtseize. Well, I think their best bet is to take Simian Spirit Guide. They could technically take the Ritual as well, but Ritual, we have a lot of Rituals, we could draw one. If my opponent takes the Simian Spirit Guide, we have to draw another one, basically, in order to Blood Moon next turn. Let's see what they take. Oh, the other thing is they can Thoughtseize our lands. So they can take Valakut Awakening. That is one downside to the deck. Alright, they took Pyretic Ritual. They have chosen incorrectly. Let's see if it punishes them. It does not. We will play another Valakut Stoneforge and pass the turn. Okay. I believe my opponent is playing Grixis Death Shadow, though it is not necessarily what they're playing. I think they run some number of basics. Yeah. Okay. So our best draw here would be a Ritual of some sort. Okay. Second Thoughtseize. They'll take Simian Spirit Guide. I can't imagine they don't. This is quite bad because this would let them land a Death Shadow. That is enough life loss that they can get there. Okay, they take Simian Spirit Guide to this time. We untap. Draw Karn Liberated. We'll pass the turn. So this is the downside to running this. Because we were playing tap lands and we don't have the full set of Shatterskull Smashing, our opponent was able to wreck our hand with Thoughtseize, and now there's a good chance we're kind of derp out because Blood Moon's going to come down too late to be of any relevance. Okay, opponent plays a Gurmag Angler. We untap. We draw a Spikefield Hazard, which we will play tapped. Pass the turn. I wonder if Amulet... No, Amulet of Vigor would ruin the Madcap shenanigans. And Blood Moon makes our lands come in untapped anyway. The problem is we can't resolve a non-creature spell when they have Ferocious for the Force Spike. So, try and play Blood Moon. This would take them off of the counterspell. Okay, they let it resolve. Play Kazul Cliffs untapped. Pass the turn. We might stand a chance yet. This will be interesting. Okay, now our best draw would be Irencrag Feet. That would let us resolve a Karn, and we could take out their only threat at the moment. Vessel of Volatility is tempting. We're going to resolve Karn Great Creator here. He might just die to a bolt. So let's go ahead and wish. And we are going to get... I think we take a Wormcoil Engine. Pass the turn. So now my opponent has to decide on what they're doing. They play a mountain. Team or Battle Rage? Okay, we die. Sad days. Would have drawn a land. There's the one Shatter Skull Smashing I own. Have to do a lot more drafts to see if I can get a hold of more. Alright, what do we do in this scenario? Do we actually adjust for this? Does Torch of Defiance... Leyline of Sanctity probably matters. And probably matters a great deal, actually. So what is our weakest part of our game plan? It's probably Karn Great Creator. Because we have to Irencrag into him, and there's a good possibility that like we would need to cast an additional spell that turn, and Irencrag's Feet says you can only cast one more spell. So I'm going to just try replacing Karn Great Creator. Like I said, this deck is all experimental. We are learning right now. Lots of Manamorphoses, lots of mana, but I think we can do better. Mana, Madcap. I think we can do better than that. So we've mulliganed to 5, and we'll need to put back 2 cards. So if I were to keep this hand, I would have to put back Platinum Empyrean and an Irencrag Feet. But then we have nothing. We have Rituals and nothing. I'm going to try going to 4. Okay. Well, I don't like it. We'll put back that Manamorphose. I guess Manamorphose. Good news is if we draw Shatter Skull Smashing or Simian Spirit Guide, no, Shatter Skull Smashing, we can play Vessel of Volatility into an Irencrag Feet into Karn. The problem with Vessel of Volatility, it's the next best quote-unquote ritual besides Pyretic, Desperate. The problem is it's a 2-turn ritual, so it's like a Pentad Prism. Yeah. Okay, well, it is very unlikely we win this game, although my opponent did mulligan a lot. Their best take here would be Vessel. I'm like 100% on that. Yep, they take Vessel. Okay, they draw an extra card because of Mishra's Bauble. Also, we were looking for Leyline of Sanctity. It's just, like, mulliganing any lower than we had, and we weren't casting anything anyway. So, running draws in or... Ooh, opponent also kept only 1 land. Interesting. Well, if we keep drawing lands, we might actually get somewhere. And here I was, just about to give up. The cool thing about Irencrag Feet Madcap is we can Irencrag Feet Madcap into Belcher, and then Belcher kill our opponent. Okay, opponent found another shock land. We keep drawing Leylines of Sanctity, which are kind of feeling like they should be anything else. Like maybe I should even be running Signets. Alright, opponent finds a 3rd land, which gets them a Blood Crypt. And I think that's enough mana to... Okay, well, not what I thought they were going to do, but okay. Okay, imagine they take either Madcap or Irencrag here. I think Madcap is scarier because they may not be able to deal with a Platinum Empyrean immediately. Yeah, I think my opponent probably takes Madcap Experiment. I mean, if they have like Dreadbores and stuff like that in their deck, they'll take Irencrag Feet 100%, but if their primary removal is like Fatal Push... Oh, they take Karn. Okay. Well, fun fact, if we get to Irencrag feat Madcap, we win. Curse of the Thoughtseas, we draw exactly what they take, but doesn't really matter at this point, because we are not drawing mana that we need so desperately. Opponent starts by playing a Bauble this turn. And look at the top card of our deck. Then they play Shadow. So now they have 1 mana negates available. Second Shadow, so we're probably going to be dead in a single turn here. Alright, there's one incredibly narrow way that we win. So I'll try playing it out. And that narrow way is we draw Simian Spirit Guide, we Irencrag feat, Madcap. Madcap digs only a couple cards deep so we don't die to it, and then we activate Belcher and kill our opponent. This, of course, fails if my opponent negates anything, which, considering the number of extra cards they drew, is almost certain. So our opponent hits us down to, I believe, 6. We draw not fast mana, and concede. Alright. Well, we learned a couple of things. We learned that Leyline of Sanctity is probably really bad in this deck. Because when it's critical that you have it, the only way that you could reasonably cast it is off of Manamorphose. And if you're casting Leyline of Sanctity, it's not doing its job. So maybe... no, I was going to say maybe this is a deck for Serum Powder, but if we do Serum Powder, we also ruin the Madcap experiment, which I feel like is actually going to be a critical line in this deck. So it's possible that instead of Sanctity, we should be running... What other good red sideboard is there in a free win red or other kind of deck like this? I'll have to think on that. Note number 1, replace Leyline of Sanctity. Alright, round 2, we are on the draw, which is significantly worse for us. Okay, we have a Belcher, a land, we have 3 lands, and a Simian Spirit Guide. I think I'm going to mulligan, because we should be able to get something faster than this. Like, playing 3 tap lands into a thing that kills our opponent on turn 4, but takes it, like, suspend 1, kill our opponent. I'd like to try and get something faster than that. And I think this counts. I'll keep this, I'll put back a Manamorphose, and all we need is a Simian Spirit Guide or Shatter Skull Smashing. I feel like I'm going to try and get more of the Shatter Skull Smashing lands so I can replace some of these tap lands, because I feel like having so many of our lands come in tapped is so critical. We're against Mill, which hopefully will not actually cause us too many problems. Hey, we have the kill. We don't have to play Karn and, you know, do some kangaroo kill of our opponent. Alright, opponent has assembled multiple crabs. So we are missing 1 mana to go off. We need to draw Simian Spirit Guide, or we need to draw Shatter Skull Smashing. Okay, opponent mills us again. They mill more rituals, and they mill some Karns. Oh, they're playing Luris Crabs. I like it. So we untap. We draw Blood Moon. Play Akum Teeth. Pass the turn. We have 2 draws at a Simian Spirit Guide next turn, and that should get our opponent, but we have to have a Simian Spirit Guide or Shatter Skull Smashing. Oh, opponent picked up Obero and then replayed it, and then played Mesmeric Orb. Okay. They could technically mill us to less than 19 cards in deck, which means Belcher would not be an instantaneous kill. Okay, we mill a land, we draw a Madcap, Manamorphose, add red. There it is. Pyretic Ritual, Desperate Ritual, Surgical Charbelcher, you jerk. Well, we can still at least land a Karn. And we were gonna win, too, if it wasn't for you meddling surgical extractions. I tell ya, nobody wants to see people have fun anymore. Okay. Well, Ritual resolves. Irencrag feat. Play Karn. Nuke Obero. Pass the turn. Okay, opponent mills crab off the top. Plays a land, mills. Plays a second orb. Okay, we have to mill 4. We draw Desperate Ritual. Tick up Karn, targeting ourself. Exile Blood Moon. We're going to try playing a little game called Can We Get Karn to 14 Before We Mill Out? If we can, we restart the game with a Blood Moon in play. And an Obero. If we can't, our opponent kills us. Alright, we're down to 10. Yeah, the chance that they just top deck something is a little bit too high. Just exile a ritual out of our own hand, because why not? We have to make it 2 more turns. They mill Field of Ruin and search for Iskanta, and they just top deck Running Glimpse the Unthinkables. So, unfortunately for us, we had to go to like our second, or our quaternary? It's primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary. We had to go to the quaternary backup plan of winning the game, which is Karn Liberated. This is the one time I wish I had Platinum Angels instead of Platinum Empyreans. But, you know, what can you do? Definitely bringing in Leyline for this matchup, because holy hell. And we're going to try and run it like this. Still taking out Karn, Great Creator. I think he's actually our worst of all of our, like, Irencragable things. In a matchup where, like, we want to play a Planeswalker on turn 4 as well, Chandra is probably better, which means we might not need Karn Great Creator in this particular deck. We should probably be running something else, is what I'm seeing. And it's possible we do want Leyline. It's possible we might even want to be playing some of the white tap lands. We'll see. Having all of your lands come in tapped, though, is quite a big price to have to pay. So I think the current mill list with Lurrus, which is what my opponent is playing, there's a list that 5-0'd that I debated about playing for today, but I was like, I just played mill, I know people like seeing it, but I'm going to try playing something a little jankier. So this is a turn 2 Blood Moon, potentially into a Belcher. The problem is, I've got a feeling we're just going to get milled. We're going to mulligan a couple of times here, looking for other stuff. Triple Karn, this is already a mulligan to 4. So going to 5 is not bad compared to this hand. We brought in Leyline of Sanctity, right? And we're playing with the mulligan rule that theoretically makes Leylines broken. That's what everyone was complaining about, right? Alright, let's see. Is this a hand I can make work? Not really, not with 4 cards. Now we have to try and mulligan to Leyline. Because we'd have to keep 3 as an example, which would be Land, Spirit Guide. Yeah, that wouldn't do it. Alright, you know what? I'll keep 2 cards. And out of all of this, so we put back the Belchers first. We'll keep Leyline of Sanctity. And we'll play Valakut Awakening. So, yeah, the current mill list, which my opponent is playing, runs Echoing Truth in the main deck. And there's no reason for them to have cited that out, so, like, my opponent just has to Echoing Truth us, and then we're fine. Or, they're fine. And also, Ruin Crab doesn't target, Hedron Crab does. Ruin Crab says each opponent, and Hedron Crab says target player. So we could still just die to Ruin Crab mill, which I think is quite terrible. Okay, opponent cantrips with Visions of Beyond. Okay, opponent plays a Mesmeric Orb. We draw Belcher. Opponent mills themselves for 2. Watery Grave and Archive Trap. Well, it's a good thing we don't search our library at any point. They play Field of Ruin, which is a strip mine, because we're not playing basics because we're playing the Charbelcher deck. Oh no! And the worst part of Archive Trap isn't like each opponent, right? Yeah, it's target opponent. Cool. Alright, well we drew a land, play a land, pass the turn. Opponent mills 2. They mill some lands. So the only way that, like, we really stand a chance here is if my opponent mills over all of their non-land permanent bounce, which they did not, because they have Stern Dismissal on the side. And yeah, I'm gonna call that there. So our best plan against that was to hope that our opponent was bad, which is not a good plan to have. Also, Leyline clearly proving that it's not doing its job. We should be all in on casting gigantic bombs. We should not be trying to protect ourselves with Leyline. But like I said, this deck is experimental and we're learning, you know. And so far, Leyline bad. Karn should probably be Chandra, which means no artifact wishboard. Platinum Angel technically might be better than Empyrean, but we could run both. Platinum Angel actually you can cast off of Irencrag feat. Platinum Empyrean, you'd need one more mana as well. And then we need Shatter Skull Smashing for this deck to work. You cannot play all tap lands and stand a reasonable chance. At least, from my observation, that's what it looks like. Alright, I'd love to play first. I hope we get to kill at least one opponent. You know what? We'll keep. We draw an Irencrag feat. Oh, and we should be maxed out on Blood Moons. That was the other lesson I was thinking of as well. Opponent starts Mystic Sanctuary. We draw Madcap Experiment. There are only 3 artifacts left in the deck, which means if we cast Madcap Experiment, on average, it's very close to killing us. Play the 3rd land, pass the turn. I could have tried to ritual out Goblin Charbelcher there, but the odds that our opponent just counters it and then kills us is pretty high. Just go ahead and Manamorphose. This should be innocuous enough. It's just to think twice here. Alright. Cast Desperate Ritual. Play Charbelcher. Okay. Force Negation. It gets countered. Well, we can try and follow this up with Desperate Ritual Madcap here. Opponent plays a Field of Ruin, which they did not activate for some reason. We draw another Desperate Ritual. Cast Desperate Ritual. Cast Madcap. Cryptic Counter Draw. Honestly, that's probably good, because then we just didn't die to our own Madcap like a buffoon. Alright, we get a land. Play a land. Pass the turn. The problem is... Well, that. The problem is we've used multiple Desperate Rituals already. If we get to the point where we can cast and splice Desperate Ritual gets us from 4 to 6, and then you can cast the other Desperate Ritual to get from 6 to 7. So Desperate Ritual is sort of a way to cast 7 drops like Karn. Okay. So our opponent is playing, looks like Jeskai Control, or like Jeskai counter spells. I think we just run it back, and we gotta kind of hope to get lucky here. I'd love to play first. Double Spirit Guide Vessel of Volatility. Might be something. I'm gonna try keeping this. So play Stoneforge, pass the turn. Next turn we can Simian Spirit Guide out, Manamorphose, see what we draw, and then play Vessel. Let's see what we draw here. Okay, play Vessel, pass the turn. If we got Spell Snared or Spell Pierced there, that would have been game over. But like, I think the problem with this deck is, by virtue of its construction, like it can do powerful things. The tap lands coming in is bad, but it's not doing enough of what makes Free Win Red great, if that makes sense. Opponent gets a Sword of Feast and Famine. We draw a Desperate Ritual. We could play Karn and then they can't equip the sword. Hang on, how much mana do we actually have here? 4, 5. The problem is we only get to cast 1 spell. We don't have enough mana to just kill them with Charbelcher, and we won't next turn either. So I guess that means we have to play Karn. So play Karn. We'll go ahead and wish. And like, what do I do? Because like, if I take Liquid Metal Coating, I can't play it next turn. Because we didn't have 2 lands. And now we're going to have 0 lands. And so Karn does nothing. Literal, absolute nothing. So like, if that had been Chandra could have upticked for mana, and we could have like... Oh, then they just had Bolt to kill Karn. So yeah, I definitely think I should have gone Chandra instead of Karn in this deck. Well... The other downside is apparently everyone is running Field of Ruin right now, and Field of Ruin absolutely dumps on this. What? Literal cantripping sinkhole. Yeah, alright. We can't come back from that. So, I tell you what. After this league, I will show you what I think an optimum deck looks like. I played a couple of two-mans with this, and I got lucky enough pre-matches here to Irencrag out Karn one time, and I Irencragged out Belcher another time, and I Irencragged Madcap into Belcher, which was sweet, by the way, and I'm sad that I wasn't recording it, but I was like, I just need to know if this deck is actually viable or not. So, are we getting unlucky in our matchups? Yes. Is that why we're losing? No. We're losing because this deck is built suboptimally and is kind of garbage. As is. I think this deck has potential, though. And as a first iteration, I'm actually not too upset with how strong this is. If it were closer to budget, I think that this would be a fun budget deck. The problem is it's not. The Charbelchers and the rituals and stuff don't cost you anything. The lands other than Shatterskull Smashing, I cannot say that for some reason. The lands other than that cost basically nothing. The problem is all of the stuff that Freewind Red wants to ritual into, and all of the stuff that you want to Irencrag feat into, is expensive. So, 2 lands, Ritual, Blood Moon, and Manamorphose. We'll keep. Our opponent is playing Obosh the Prey Piercer. So, Blood Moon, probably not going to do anything. Unless it's like Obosh Jund. It's not. No, it is very not. I should have mulliganed to 6 instead of 5. Alright. And I say that tongue-in-cheek because Blood Moons aren't even cards right now. You know what would make decks like this way better? If it didn't absolutely turn on broken shenanigans because of dumb crap like Hollow One? Faithless Looting. I really liked playing Faithless Looting in a lot of weird, absurd decks because you could use it to sculpt your hand for jank combos and stuff like that. And it's just really sad because it's like, oh man, if we hit a another ritual here. Alright, well we got a land, so we can play the land. Next turn we can kill them with Charbelcher, provided we survive. So let's see what happens here. Bolt, Bolt, Bolt kills us. Exactly. Okay, Seasoned Pyromancer does not kill us. We're gonna get the win. You guys excited? I'm excited. We take 1, we go to 11. Alright, Desperate Ritual. Irencrag feat. Belcher. Activate Belcher. Kill our opponent. Nice. Whoo! Okay, I'm going to bring in Chandra over Karn. And honestly, I think Leyline of Sanctity is still probably the way to go. I'm bringing it over Karn and Blood Moon because Blood Moon does nothing. And then we'll drop... Can't drop Acceleration. Platinum Empyrean might actually be fantastic against our opponent's deck. Do we play it over an actual Karn Liberated? Yeah, Karn Liberated is not as good versus Mono Red because when you down tick, he's in bolt range. And then he becomes a 7-mana Vindicate, and your opponent discarded a Volt. A Bolt. A Volt? A Bolt. A Bolt. Ugh. I do not have faith in a Madcap against my opponent. I'm gonna mulligan. That hand would have been fine, I think. This, on the other hand, looks like it might actually go somewhere. I'm gonna keep this. I'm going to put back a Manamorphose, and we will absolutely reveal a Leyline. This might be a case of all of our weird jank cards put in one deck just so happen to line up in such a way that they beat a common strategy in the form of mono red. So we just need to draw a Simian Spirit Guide or another ritual, and turn 3 we can run out Karn and start ticking up Karn. We can have Karn exile Karn, and then we can reset the game with a Karn in play and win. Provided, of course, our opponent does not have too many prowess creatures. Which it looks like they might be just mono-red prowess. They get in for 1. Alright, opponent's got a light up the stage, revealing Swift Spear and Pyromancer. We untap. We draw another Leyline. Play our land, pass the turn. Okay, opponent plays a land. They play Seasoned Pyromancer, discarding their hand. Firebolt and Lightning Bolt. Yep, those are pretty bad. We take 2. We go to 17. We draw Valakut Awakening. Okay. So play Valakut Stoneforge, pass the turn. We could have cast Valakut Awakening and put like our hand on the bottom of our deck and drawn that many cards. It would have taken a ritual to do it. We really, at this point, are just trying to draw Belcher, because our opponent has too many creatures to actually play and like uptick Karn successfully. And my opponent is getting to the point where they can just cast Obosh and kill us with damage. Okay, we untap, draw Pyretic Ritual. Opponent has 2 cards in hand. Yeah, all right. Yeah, we're not gonna play that one. We'll go to last game. All right. Let's try it out. If we beat one opponent with this deck, I will be thrilled. This is good. This just needs a what's it called? This needs a Charbelcher to win, or a Karn if we can do it early enough. So right now, if we draw Karn or Charbelcher, this is a turn 3 virtual win or actual win, respectively. Opponent starts Swift Spear, we take 1 and we go to 19. We untap, draw Leyline, which is not those things we want. Play Kazul Cliffs, pass the turn. Okay, opponent plays 2 1-drops. We have no blocks. Take 1, go to 18, untap, draw more mana, play a land, pass the turn. Come on, Belcher. Okay, opponent plays a Seasoned Pyromancer, discarding Lightning Bolt and Lava Dart. Which opponent, if they want, can Lava Dart like a token or something and do a bunch of damage. Ugh. Alright, we're to the point where we cast Simian Spirit Guide as a blocker. Go get him, Mana Monkey. Maybe I shouldn't have done that, because it gave them a clear target to cast all their damage spells on. So that'll be 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, my opponent could just flash back their Lava Darts and kill their own elementals and kill us. They may not do that. If they don't, they give us another turn to draw Belcher. Yeah, they Lava Dart themselves, which will in fact be lethal. But hey, we actually won a game. Alright, I will see you guys in round 5 that we are playing just for fun. We can no longer win anything, unfortunately. Alright. No, this one we got a mulligan. 3 lands, no acceleration. No lands. Alright, we'll try it. Gotta put back Karn, and we'll put back, I guess, 1 ritual. Mausoleum Wanderer. Alright, play Kazul's Fury. Problem is, Mausoleum Wanderer prevents us from even casting a ritual, because it's just like, oh, you're playing mono red and you're playing all tap lands? I guess I'll counter the first spell you play and then you'll be dead in the water. Wouldn't that be fun? Yeah, I actually think that we literally cannot beat spirits because of that. That's what I get for, I guess, designing a deck and not having a ton of time to test it first. Alright, play Stoneforge, pass the turn. Blood Moon also does nothing here because our opponent is playing basics. Alright, we take 4. We go to 14. You know, I don't even want to tell my opponent what we're doing right now. So we're going to go ahead and concede. And I think we want Chandra over Karns. I'll leave 1 Karn in. I don't know if my opponent just happened to have their only basics, or if my opponent is playing mostly basics. So I don't know if Blood Moon is bad or not. They did have fetch lands. I think we're going to try running it without Blood Moon. We'll just put some of the Karns back in. Alright, I'd love to play first. Hey, we draw our 1 untapped land. And we're on the play. Sure, I'll keep. Let's see what happens. Put a mulligans to 6. Watch our opponent be running Force of Negation. We get the one, like, statistically improbable good hand, and our opponent will have Force of Negation. Alright, play Shatterskull. We will pay 3 life. Exile Spirit Guide. Tap Shatterskull. Ritual. And if this was like Big Karn and we could uptick Big Karn, oh man, that'd be so good. Ritual. Chandra. Uptick for damage. I heard a turn 1 Chandra Torch of Defiance is pretty good. We will not cast Madcap Experiment past the turn. Oh, for people wondering about the mouse, I'm sorry I didn't talk about this sooner. The mouse came, it advertised like, oh, like almost totally silent clicks. It is exactly as loud as my current mouse. And I'm kind of frustrated about that, because I bought a mouse for nothing. Okay, opponent starts Aether Vial. Draw Karn, Great Creator. So, tick up again. We cannot cast Metamorphose, so we'll just pass. Technically, Chandra will always give us the option to cast whatever we uptick into, because we aren't running any lands on the front side of our cards. Which means we never have the automatic just 2 damage mode. Opponent plays a Seachrome Coast into a Selfless Spirit. Ugh, we blew all of our fast mana. Alright, tick up Chandra for damage. Oh, we can play them! We can actually play lands off of Chandra Torch of Defiance. That is a big deal in my mind. I actually think that matters a lot. Okay, so opponent's vialing in a 1-drop, which is a Mausoleum Wanderer. Let me read Chandra real quick. You may cast that card. Ah, interesting. I didn't think the rules as written would work that way, but evidently they do. So opponent plays a Polluted Delta and fetches. If my opponent has like the Hexproof Lord and multiple Supreme Phantoms or something that can actually kill Chandra, she needs to stick around for 1 turn. And at this point it's probably too late, but if we top deck Belcher we can kill our opponent. Actually we can't because Mausoleum Wanderer. Ah, dang it. We were doing so good too. Opponent vials in Core Firewalker. So tick up for mana. Play Karn. We'll go ahead and wish with Karn. We will use his ability, and we're going to get Ensnaring Bridge. Pass the turn. So our opponent can attack and kill all of our Planeswalkers. Opponent plays a Moorland Haunt. Kills Karn, kills Chandra, hits us for 3. We untap. We draw a Vessel. So play Vessel. Opponent can gain all the life they want. Problem is, we need to be able to empty our hand, and our opponent can counter an Irencrag feat, which might be enough to just kill us. Opponent plays an Unsettled Mariner. Hits us for a lot. No blocks, because we don't have anything we could possibly block with. Okay, we go to 5. We draw Spikefield Hazard. So play the Spikefield Cave. Crack Vessel. Play Vessel. Problem is we have to resolve an Irencrag feat in order to land Ensnaring Bridge and have it be small enough that we don't die immediately. Actually, it doesn't even work because my opponent has cast Irencrag feat. They should sack to counter this. Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. So, we won 1 game in our league. And as I stated before, this deck was pretty experimental, very spicy. Let's take a look at what I feel an optimum list doing what this list wants to do looks like. So, first thing is first. We want 4 of the Shatterskull pass. Oh, hang on. Okay. So we definitely want 4 of these. That's going to make a big difference. Having your lands come in untapped versus having your lands tapped all the time really, really does. And in that scenario, what we do is we drop Kazul's Fury as Spikefield Hazard, Valakut Awakening, and to some extent Akum Warrior all have some value on the front side. It's not fantastic, but it does actually exist. Okay. Secondly, Karn out. Chandra in. Absolutely Chandra in. Then we want to max out on Blood Moons. Vessel was kind of not great, so we'll bring in the 2 Blood Moons like this. And is there anything else I would change to try and make this list better, besides building a real sideboard, of course? You could run one of the old Irencrag bombs cards was Form of the Dragon. It was an extremely all-in way to just like keep nuking your opponent's creatures one at a time, or then damage them, or damage their face. It's good against anything that doesn't deal direct damage, and casts very little or no creatures. I wasn't personally a fan, but 7 is a weird mana point, where like the only amazing things to cast at 7 are Belcher and Karn. Chandra is kind of good because Chandra can uptick to give you more mana when this deck struggles with mana so much. And I don't want to, like, you could cut a Platinum Imperium for a Platinum Angel. Platinum Angel's a lot squishier in my opinion, though she can be cast off of Irencrag feat. And the only reason that we're running Platinum Imperium at all is because the math for Madcap Experiment just being duplicate Charbelchers works out in such a way that the average damage you take, like, if you on turn 3, so you've gone through 10 cards in your deck, so there's 50 cards left. 50 divided by 4 is 12.5. Like, you'll take 12.5 damage on average from Madcap Experiment. So in the worst case scenario, it kills you because that's how things like Spoils of the Vault and Madcap Experiment work. In the best case scenario, it doesn't kill you and gets you a Charbelcher, which works perfectly if you cast it off of Irencrag feat, because then you just activate Charbelcher and kill your opponent. I'm not sure what else we could play. I don't think there's any like really good. Let's just take a look for a second here at we'll look at Modern, Red, and CMC. We'll do 7, exactly 7. We'll take a quick look through this list and see if there's anything that like instantly kills your opponent. Star of Extinction's kind of funny. Molten Primordial, I remember being not great. Yeah, no. Maybe like maybe Inferno Titan's just good enough. There's not that many other like artifact creatures at 7. There's a couple at 8, and of course Wormcoil at 6. There's Mere Battlesphere, which is exactly at 7. There's Spine of Ishsa, but in this deck it would be terrible. The Spine of Ishsa is something you want to be like sacking to Trading Post, that sort of thing. Trying to think if there's any other 1-card combos that just win the game on the spot. I don't think so. So I will take the rest of my time tonight to go ahead and add a sideboard to this list. I'll provide both deck lists in the description if you want to play around with them. If you have any ideas, I'm more than happy to hear them. This was my take on something that, like, I was like, I don't want to just build the same Charbelcher list that everyone is building. I tried building Oops All Spells first, and I wasn't satisfied with that, and that one definitely needs the untapped lands, and I can't afford them at $14 a land when I need like 13 of them to make that deck work, and you have to have them, and there is no substitute. So I went with something like this. It was probably a little spicy. It might have been a little too spicy, and I understand that. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you have any suggestions. I'll try and build a sideboard. I'll provide both deck lists. And I think I've rambled enough for now. So if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more content like it, please leave a like, drop a comment, and subscribe to the channel if you're so inclined. And remember, you can follow me on Twitch, same username on Twitch as you find me on here. And I stream Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. Eastern. I hope to see you all there. You're all wonderful human beings, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!